Think about a 300-pound man who cannot move easily, breathing heavily, afraid of tiny insects, cannot even dare to go into water, has learning difficulties. Now, think about the same man again, Navy SEAL, breaking world record with 4,030 push-ups in 24 hours. Ultra-marathon runner who runs 217 kilometers in the desert. These two people are the same person, David Goggins. And what you will learn today is not just a success story. This is the story of a man who destroyed the limits of human mind. The true story of someone who deleted the word impossible from his life. This story will make you question everything you say I can't do. Are you ready? February 4th, 1975, Buffalo, New York. Little David was hiding in a dark room. His father, Trunice, was drunk again. He was walking around the house shouting. David and his little brother were inside the closet. They were holding their breath in fear. This was happening every night. 6-year-old David was living his hardest times at the age when he should play. His father ran a roller skating rink. David had to work there every night. He was collecting skate shoes until 3 a.m. He was going to school in the morning, but he was tired. He was falling asleep in classes. David didn't have intelligence problems, but he couldn't focus on lessons because of tiredness. And he was experiencing trauma. This situation was causing learning difficulties for him. When David was 8 years old, his mother gathered courage and left home with the children. They moved to Indiana. But the problems were not ending. David and his brother were facing racism at the new school. Children were having fun by making fun of them. David's speech disorder started from stress. He was stuttering when making some sentences. He had difficulty reading. Everyone was saying, this child cannot succeed at anything. And David was starting to believe it as he heard these. When high school years came, David had become a huge young man. He was 1.85 meters tall. He was joining the basketball team, but he was always on the bench. His confidence was zero. You were not born to win, said the voice inside. And David had surrendered to this voice. He was graduating from high school but had no goal. He had not dreamed. He was just trying to survive. He joined the Air Force at his mother's request, but he was failing. He had water phobia and couldn't learn to swim. Sickle cell anemia was diagnosed. He was kicked out of training. At 24, David weighed 300 pounds. He was working at pest control job on night shift. He was drinking 3,000-calorie milkshakes per day. He was eating unhealthy, not eating regular meals. He was moving very little. He was sitting in the shower, couldn't stand. When he looked in the mirror, he hated himself. But he had no power to change. And one night he encountered that image that would change his life. One night, Discovery Channel was on TV. There was a Navy SEAL documentary, The World's Toughest Military Training. Hell Week was being shown. 4 hours of sleep in 6 days. Waiting in cold water for hours. Running 4 kilometers. David was looking at the screen. This is real difficulty, he said. Suddenly, something woke up inside him. I can do this too, he said. Everyone would make fun of him when they heard this. 300-pound obese man will become Navy SEAL. But David believed he could do it. He needed to have a goal to change. To become Navy SEAL, he had to be less than 191 pounds. David was 300 pounds. Even though everyone said it was impossible, David was thinking differently now. First day, he woke up at 4:30. He tried to run. He ran a quarter mile, but couldn't endure more. Next day, again. He ran half a mile, but started vomiting. But he didn't give up. Every day a little more. He exercised 6 hours a day. His body was begging to stop, but David wasn't stopping. He lost 100 pounds in 2 months. The doctor said losing this much weight suddenly was dangerous. David didn't care much. At the end of the 3rd month, he lost 191 pounds. He was accepted to Navy SEAL training this way. Training started. First day, they were 180 people. 80% would quit. David still didn't know how to swim. He had water phobia. In the first swimming test, he was almost drowning. But somehow, he passed. He also had difficulty in weapon training. He couldn't aim properly. His teammates were making fun of him. They thought he would be eliminated. You can't be a SEAL, they were saying. But David did extra practice every night. He was aiming in the dark for hours. Hell Week was coming. Hell Week. He slept total for hours during 132 hours. He was in cold Pacific water. He was about to get hypothermia. Everywhere was wounded. His feet were swelling. Serious wounds were forming. Doctor said, "Quit. You'll get permanent damage." David refused. But his body couldn't endure. He was kicked out of training. All that pain would go to waste. But David wasn't giving up. He waited 6 months to heal. He tried again. Again, Hell Week. Again, stress. Again, failure. He had one last right to participate. If he couldn't succeed, he couldn't enter again. Hell Week, Day 3. Every inch of his feet was in wounds and blood. Every step was torture. Teammates are quitting. "Goggins, you quit too," they say. The voice inside David was saying he couldn't quit. Only your mind is stopping you. Pain is temporary. Quitting is permanent. And David discovered something. Human uses only 40% of capacity. 60% is not used because of fear. David was entering that 60%. He was finishing Hell Week. 6 months later, he graduated. He was becoming Navy SEAL. But this was just the beginning. In 2004, he went to Army Ranger School. He wanted to become Ranger as a SEAL. It was a very rare success. 62 days of hell-like training. 1 meal per day. Hours of ambush practice. Getting lost in mountains. David succeeded and received enlisted Honorman Award. Now he was both SEAL and Ranger. But this was just the beginning for him. In 2005, helicopter crash happened in Afghanistan. He lost close friends. Operation Red Wings. 11 SEALs and 8 Night Stalkers martyred. David was devastated from sadness. He was blaming himself. Why not me? He was asking. He entered depression. He was gaining 20 pounds. But then he was coming to himself. "I must live for them," he said. But he was doing something different. He started running. For DIM, for Special Operations Warrior Foundation. It was foundation giving scholarships to martyred soldiers' children. But David wasn't running normally. He would run ultra-marathon. He had no training. He weighed 240 pounds. His first race was San Diego one day, running 100 miles in 24 hours. At 19th hour, his feet were in blood. His knees were swollen like balloons. At 70th mile, his feet were almost falling apart. Serious wounds were opening. Doctor said you might have kidney failure. David wasn't listening to Doctor. He was counting inside. Who's gonna carry the boats? It was the slogan from SEAL training. But he was finishing. He ran 101 miles. He collected $2 million for foundation. Then there was another race. Badwater 135 was coming. World's hardest race. 135 miles in Death Valley. 60 degrees heat. Starting 86 meters below sea level. Ending at Mount Whitney at 2,548 meters. Shoe soles were melting from heat. Had to drink 1 liter water every 1 mile. David came second in first attempt. 30 hours, 80 minutes. In 2008, he did another craziness. He ran 203 miles in 48 hours. His feet swelled so much, they had to cut his shoes. Doctors were shocked. Normal person stops at 50 miles, they were saying. David was laughing. I'm not normal, he said. In 2013, another record attempt. Most push-ups in 24 hours. World record was 4,020. David would try on live broadcast. On Today Show. Millions were watching. First attempt, 2,500 push-ups in 6 hours. His hands were tearing apart. Blood was flowing from his hands. His tendons were tearing. He had to stop at 2,588. Failure on live broadcast. Everyone was saying, "What a pity." David was taken to hospital. 2 months later, he wanted to try again. Nobody knew this time. He started quietly. New strategy. Rest 8 seconds every 5 push-ups. This time different. 17 hours continuous push-up. He passed 3,000 at 12th hour. 3,500 at 15th hour. His hands were bleeding again. His shoulders burning. But David didn't care. 16th hour, 3,900. 17th hour, 4,025. And 4,030 push-ups. The warmth of blood flowing from hands, the burning feeling in arms, the breath at last push up. New world record. Today, David Goggins is 50 years old and motivational speaker. His book, Can't Hurt Me, sold 5 million. His second book never finished #1. He inspires millions of people. He still wakes up at 4:30 every morning. Runs 10 miles. 2,000 push-ups. 300 sit-ups. Age is not an excuse, he says. 13 million followers on Instagram. Guest on Joe Rogan podcast 3 times. Who are you? He asks people. Do you really know who you are? Look in the mirror and don't lie. From 300-pound obese man to Navy SEAL. From child with learning difficulties to bestseller writer. from water phobia to swimming instructor. David Goggins proved limits are only in our heads. When you feel pain, you have two choices: quit and stay the same, or continue and change. I always continued. What will you do? Now it's your turn. Watch this video again. Stop at every sentence and repeat, with shadowing technique, with same power and determination. What did you get from Goggins' story? Write in comments. Like the video, subscribe to channel. I share new inspiring stories every week. Take care of yourself. And remember, you are stopping you. You are giving up instead of getting hard.
See you